The Star Festival is celebrated once a year and is a harvest festival. Everyone shows their gratitude by praying to the star god and decorating their doors with lanterns, each with a person's wish. While one of the maids asks about Alicia, another replies that she had a headache and went to bed. As a precaution, they decide to keep an eye on the door to make sure she doesn't sneak out. However, this is all part of Nina's plan as she is already sneaking out the window. Unfortunately for her, a boy spots her and mistakes her for a burglar, causing Nina to panic and fall to the ground. Nina then asks the boy his name. Irritated that she doesn't know who he is, the boy reveals that he is the crown prince, Muhulum Seth Fortna. Nina finds it hard to believe that this little boy is the crown prince as he looks younger than the golden-eyed prince. The young prince offers to take her anywhere she wants, since as the future king, there is no place he doesn't know. Nina, barely paying attention to him, starts thinking about how she is now taking the place of the late Alicia. She then asks the prince to tell her the weak point of the evil, golden-eyed prince. Meanwhile, Azure is practicing with his sword, showing great skill. At the same time, Nina and Muhulum spy on him. Some soldiers mention that Prince Muhulum doesn't like sword training, but the boy excuses himself by saying that it's because his brother will protect him. Nina thinks that Muhulum might hate his brother because he is always praised, which might make him angry. The young prince mentions that there are things that his brother is not good at, which excites Nina. She quickly urges him to find those things so that the golden-eyed prince will have to admit defeat. However, it seems that someone is watching them. When they reach what appears to be Azure's room, Nina comments that it feels like a different world, making her wonder what Azure thinks when he's here. Muhulum mentions that his brother is amazing, having led his own army at the age of 17. Just then, Azure arrives, and despite her attempts to hide, he spots them. Azure asks Nina how long she'll continue to act like a child, and tells the young prince that he must not behave inappropriately. Muhulum, irritated, warns her not to speak to the future king like that, and runs off. Annoyed, Nina blames herself and chases after him. The prince ends up standing on some wooden planks covering a well, but they can't hold his weight, and he falls. Nina jumps in to save him, and they both end up inside the well. Muhulum becomes disheartened, thinking that no one will come to help them, but Nina assures him that everyone must be looking for him since he's the future prince. Muhulum, more serious now, reveals that perhaps only his mother is worried, as everyone thinks his brother should be the heir. Nina realizes that Muhulum actually admires his older brother and looks for his weakness just to get closer to him. She encourages him to get closer to his brother so that he can learn from him since she also believes in him now. Suddenly, the water in the well starts to rise and they both start calling for help, but no one listens to them. It's already nighttime, and Muhulum apologizes to Nina, who, exhausted, carries him. Muhulum calls her sister, which makes her smile. Just then, Azure arrives to rescue them. After getting the prince out, it's Nina's turn, but because of the cold, she can't move anymore. Azure realizes this and lifts her up with one arm to get her out. Nina realizes that Azure isn't a bad person. After all, if he was, his little brother wouldn't care so much about him. Once outside, the young prince asks Azure to train him personally. Surprised, Azure looks at Nina, who nods at him. He finally agrees to train his brother, warning him that he will be very strict. Muhulum is relieved, as he thought his brother would reject him. On the way back, Nina takes the opportunity to ask Azure if there is anything he is bad at. He replies that there is nothing in particular, but that he does not like things that are amorphous. Nina does not understand and assumes that he is talking about ghosts. Elsewhere, mysterious figures discuss the real Alicia and question who Nina really is. The next day, Nina and Azure argue again. The maids comment that they seem to be getting along better every day. Azure mentions that the festival is coming up soon, and Nina wonders if it is celebrated inside the palace as well. Azure assures her that she no longer has to do anything related to her former religious life. He then hands her a lantern and tells her that even royalty can make wishes. The king and queen approach, and the queen jokingly says that she hopes they are not asking for the throne. The king regrets that he cannot witness Alicia's priestly ritual, though he is glad that she can enjoy the festival. Seeing this, Nina thinks that the king is a good person. An older man, one of those accompanying the king, asks if he could at least delight them with a dance. However, Nina ignores him, wondering who that man thinks he is. They both continue on their way. Nina comments that the queen is as impertinent as ever, so she doesn't like her. Azure, however, replies that he appreciates that quality because with people like her, you already know what to expect. On the contrary, those who complicate everything are those who are the complete opposite. What he really means is that not everyone is as simple as Nina. Although this seems like an insult, it is actually a small compliment. Nina notices that Azure is not carrying a lantern, so she asks him why. He replies that he doesn't need one because he has no wishes to make. Later, Nina meets with Muhulum, who tells her that he didn't want the day of the festival to come because, in a month and a half after it ends, he'll have to leave to get married. Nina nods, but assures her that they can visit each other. However, Muhulum interrupts her to tell her that Galgada, their neighboring country, lies beyond some rugged mountains. By land, the journey requires a major detour, and by sea, the distance is also considerable, possibly taking weeks to reach. He further tells us that Galgada began to invade the southern lands mercilessly, showing that the crown prince of Galgada is terrifying, and if his grandfather hadn't been bedridden, they might have done something. Muhulum thinks that he should use his wish to prevent Nina's marriage. As Nina ponders Galgada, the old man from before approaches her again, suggesting that even royalty can secretly sneak into the city. He seems to be hinting at a way for her to escape unnoticed, saying that no one would detect her absence. Just then, the maids arrive, concerned about the man's proximity to her. After the incident, Nina begins to seriously consider running away, and the day of the festival finally arrives. During the celebration, it seems that some people are plotting against her, as one of them mentions that they will take care of her. Azure is now questioning the maids about Nina's whereabouts, as she is missing. One of them mentions that she has noticed that Nina has been distracted lately and has been visiting the temple within the castle walls. Interestingly, from the temple, the village is accessible. Nina successfully escapes from the castle and is relieved, thinking that no one noticed her absence. She begins to run, remembering her parents, who would welcome her and ask her about her wish. She also remembers that her parents told her that the star god has eyes of the same color as hers, but that she should keep them hidden until she is an adult. She also remembers Saji and Colin and how they spent the day of the festival together. Nina arrives at what was once her home, but soon realizes that there is nothing left. At that moment, he realizes that the Nina he once knew no longer exists. Just then, Azure arrives, having caught up with her. Nina confronts him and blames him for the fact that she has nothing left, crying as she realizes that the life she lived as Nina has vanished. She also laments that she will have to travel to a faraway country where no one knows who Nina is. Azure seems to remember something similar from his own childhood. Suddenly, he senses another presence and reacts quickly, neutralizing a group of men who had been following them. However, when he is distracted by the sight of Nina in danger, he is injured. Despite this, he manages to recover and exposes the perpetrator of the attack, the old man who had tricked Nina. Before Azure can finish him off, the old man accuses him of being a usurper. Nina notices that Azure is injured and tells him that it is all his fault. However, Azure tells her that it is not his fault, as there are many people in the palace who see him as a threat and want to eliminate him. Azure tells Nina to leave, saying that he won't chase her anymore. Nina wonders if she won't get into trouble later, but he tells her that he'll find a solution. She rips a piece of cloth to bandage his wound and reminds him that he told her that he needed her, so she shouldn't keep dwelling on it. Nina tells him that she's always had someone to call her by her name, so she forgives him and is willing to die if he asks her to. Azure tells her that he knows perfectly well that she's not Alicia, and from now on, when they're alone, he'll call her by her real name, Nina, while hugging her. In her thoughts, Nina makes a wish to the god of the stars, that she can at least count on one person. She still has a month and a half left for her trip, but right now she doesn't know why her heart hurts so much. If you've reached this point in the video, don't forget to leave the word exquisito in the comments. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.